Hey family, it's your girl Alexandria J, and welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things purpose, all things healing, and all things growth. So right away, if those are things that interest you, waste no time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as I would love to have you be a part of the AJ family. In my eyes, you're already family, but hitting subscribe will go ahead and make it official. As you can tell from the titles of today's video, I am going to be talking about how I recognized I was not healed. Now, I know in today's world, we don't really talk about being whole and healed anymore, but I am here to break all of that up. It got to a place in my life, y'all, I used to be that person that, I swept everything under the rug. It didn't happen. It doesn't exist. Whenever I went through a traumatic experience, it is what it is. Throw it behind me. I don't care. I just did not want to talk about it, right? But I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I am sick of living in dysfunction just because it's familiar. I'm gonna say that again because that was good. I refused to allow myself to live in a place of dysfunction just because it was familiar. So I want you to know that if you've been in that place, you are definitely not alone. Bro, I got you. Sis, I got you. And I definitely want to help you identify areas and maybe places in your own life where you can dig deep and really maybe see, I'm not healed, but I want to make that decision to become whole and to really get the healing that I need and that I deserve. So look, maybe you're already healed, you got what you need, and that is absolutely amazing. I celebrate you. But maybe you know somebody who could really benefit from this information, or you're like me and you've been in that place where you feel broken and you feel lost. Either way, this is going to be a video that I promise you are going to want to keep watching. So without further ado, let's jump into the video.
Hold up.
Before we really jump into the video, I have to start off with this. God is not punishing you. And I know sometimes we feel that way, right? And it's easy to feel that way. We get into this thing where we're like, oh, poor pitiful me. Like, oh my gosh, I must have done something wrong. What did I do? And now I feel like I have cheated my way out of really becoming free and becoming whole and becoming healed. That is not always the case, and more than likely that is not the case. God is not that kind of God. And what I think about is John chapter 9. It talks about the blind man, right? And Jesus healing the blind man. Before this miracle, the disciples are asking Jesus like, oh my goodness, what has this man done? Surely he must have sinned, or surely his parents must have sinned for him to have been born with this handicap, for him to have been born blind. And Jesus looks back at them and he says, no. His condition is not a punishment, it's a testimony. So his condition only existed for the sole purpose of giving God glory. Could it be that where you are in your life right now, could it be that the struggle that you're having to fight through in your life right now only exists for the sole purpose of giving God glory? And I promise I'm going to jump into the video, but I have to give another disclaimer. Healing is painful, right? So when you make that decision, you've made up in your mind, okay, I have to go after my healing. I have to go after being completely whole. You have to understand that you are now embarking on a very difficult, very emotionally exhausting, mentally exhausting, and sometimes painful process. It's not supposed to feel good though, right? When you're revisiting trauma, when you're revisiting things that, maybe years ago you went through and decided you didn't want to talk about anymore, when you're revisiting those painful situations, it is not supposed to feel good. It's going to hurt. However, God didn't tell us that it had to feel good, but he did promise that it would work for good. Romans 8:28 says, for this we know that all things work together for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. So you can trust that even though it may not feel good, it's working for good. So the first thing that helps me to recognize that I was not healed is fairly simple, and that is that people noticed, right? And I know we feel like they can't see me, they can't tell, like I had it well. No, people do notice you, and contrary to our beliefs about ourselves, we're not invisible, okay? People do see us. People do see you. Diseased plants are noticeable, right? Because they don't exude life. And one thing that I learned is that plants are a lot like human beings in that when they get sick, they give off a fever. And what do we know about fevers? Not all the time can we, see when somebody is breaking out in a fever. Not all the time. But fevers can be felt. And so it's going to show up. It shows up in the way that you treat people. It shows up in your actions. It shows up in your your tone of voice. It shows up in the vibes and the energies that you're giving off. So people will see it, they will notice. And fortunately for me, I had a great group of friends and I had family members who would pull me to the side and ask me those difficult questions. Hey, are you okay? Is something going on? Do we need to talk about anything? I feel like you're a little off. And that really helped me to identify, okay, so they see that something's bothering me. I need to dig a little deeper into this and see what's going on. So the second thing that helped me notice that I wasn't healed was I began shutting people out. And we use this as a cop-out sometimes because we say, I'm protecting them. I don't want, people to feel what I'm feeling, or I feel selfish if I'm, projecting this onto someone else. And although that's good, but we have to really make sure that we understand that unhealed trauma becomes the trauma of someone else that they did not create. And what I mean by that is if you are not healed, if you don't make the decision to really get healed and recognize what is causing this pain, what is causing this hurt that I have yet to deal with, if you have children, for example, or even if you don't have children, if you have siblings, whoever it is that's in your life, they take on that trauma because you're passing it on to them. And now they have to figure out how to heal from something that you could have dealt with, right? So unhealed trauma transfers into becoming the trauma of someone else in your life that they did not create. So be very careful of becoming numb in these kind of situations, right? Becoming numb might be actually a sign that you're also not healed. It's important to know that you are human. God gave us emotions for a reason. You are supposed to feel. You are supposed to cry. You're supposed to get angry. You're supposed to feel all these emotions. It is not normal to become completely numb. So do not let anybody trick you. Don't let the enemy deceive you into thinking it's okay to not feel. You are supposed to feel. Now, yes, we were born with emotions. Granted, they should be learned and should be managed well. However, please understand that you were born to feel and you have to feel those emotions. Have you liked this video yet? I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to take a little break. Go ahead and click the like button. Also, click subscribe because you want to be a part of the AJ family. So go ahead, just a few seconds. Third thing that helped me recognize that I wasn't healed is I was not comfortable being alone. I know probably some of you are like, okay, what are you talking about? It was so true for me because what I ended up doing was hiding behind the company of people because I didn't want to face myself. I was scared of facing myself. It was uncomfortable for me. And the reality is when you're healed, you enjoy your own company. I'm looking for stability, I'm looking for joy, I'm looking for peace and happiness in all of these other people except for me. So it turns into this love me, love me, love me, cater to me.
I wanted someone to love me.
And that easily becomes the fourth reason of how I recognized I wasn't healed. I began projecting my insecurities onto other people. So the low esteem that I had within myself was looking for people to fill voids and meet expectations that only God could meet, right? And let me say this too, we have to stop doing that. We have to stop putting these unhealthy expectations, these unreachable expectations on our romantic relationships, on our platonic relationships, and try to make them fill voids that only God can fill. We have to stop doing that. That is so dangerous. And that's why most of us end up hurt, because they cannot be God in your life. And the fifth thing that helped me identify that I wasn't healed is I lost passion. Nothing interested me anymore. Things that I loved became basic. Things that I once found, exciting and intriguing, they irritated me, and I just found no more value in life. I was like, this has nothing else to offer me. And although it may not be that extreme for you, you really have to sit and think, okay, have I lost basic communication? Have I lost simple things like finding joy in the little things? Like, have I lost that passion and that zeal for things that I used to love? That could be a sign that you are not healed. And let me just remind you that healed people, they don't just live, they thrive. And if you're tired of living and you're really ready to thrive, then I promise you, just really examining your life and looking into some things, or maybe you're like, I'm not as healed as I thought I was. That is the first step to making that decision to becoming whole. And please remember that you cannot be afraid of treating wounds unless you like living with infections. And infections happen everywhere, right? They can happen in your mindset. They can happen in your perspective. They can happen in your money. They can happen in your relationships. They happen in all areas of your life. So it's important to really get down to the bottom of those wounds wounds, make sure they're treated correctly so that they don't spread and infect everything else that you have going on. Your strength is not predicated on how much pain you can handle. It is time for you to get healed. Thanks so much, you guys, for watching this video. Now, please understand that what I've shared, these are just 5 things that helped me to personally recognize that I wasn't healed. These could look completely different for you, but it's important to really take the time to examine what is triggering me and what are the things that I really need to go in and dig deep and make sure that I prioritize, right? To make sure that I'm completely whole and that I'm completely healed in my life. If you made it to the end of this video, comment with which one of these 5 things that I went over you identify with the most. In my next video, we'll be talking about how to heal well. So make sure you check that out next week once that is uploaded. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can become a part of the AJ family. And I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. I love y'all and I really mean it. Bye.